Hi, everybody. This is Patty Mold of the Technology Department. And today we're going to take a look at some of Freckle's data tools, as well as how to find class groupings. Both of these can be really important because they're going to give you information about what your students are doing, as well as how well they are doing it. And so when you get to your teacher dashboard, you're going to come over here to the left side and you're going to come down into the subjects area. And I'm going to use math as my example today. But when I expand the math section, you can see I have a section here called reports. This is where I'm going to click to get all of the data, information, and tools that are available to teachers. And so when I click on reports, it's going to show me a bunch of different things. Now, one thing that's really important to know with these reporting and the data tools, they're only going to be helpful if your class is doing regular practice on Freckle. If you're using Freckle once a month, you're not going to have enough data points to make this section useful and helpful. But if you're doing Freckle 2 or 3 times a week, if your students might be doing Freckle at home as homework on a regular basis, this is when you're going to get enough data points to make this section very valuable. Now, in the first section, you're going to see a lot of different individual standards. Like you can look at math levels. This is going to be a report card where it's going to give you all their performance by domain. You can look at a particular standard. If your class is having trouble on one thing, this would be where you would find it. But if we scroll down here to where it's class grouping, this is where it's going to allow you to start to make groups of your students. And this can be helpful not only for reteaching, but also for making assignments. And so if you have a group of students you need to give enrichment, if you have students you need to give some remedial work, this is where you'll find that data. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on class grouping. And then what it will do is it's going to start to divide by section and domain. And so I'm going to just kind of pop out the geometry section here. And you can see that it also starts to make groups on their own. And so when you look in here by whatever they're working on, it's going to show you who would be in that group. Now, it does give you some options. We can do mixed level groups. And so if you do that, it's going to be put students of different abilities in different places together. The matrix view, if you click this, this is going to give you kind of bottom to top as far as where they are in progress to give you information by that. And so I'm going to go back here and just take a look at my same level groups here. And I can see that immediately at the bottom of any of these groups, it says assign standard. And so if I click on that, when it loads, it's going to give me the information for different targeted practice that I can do toward that standard. So for example, it already has the 2 students that were in that group checked. If I scroll down here, it's already giving me examples of things to assign to them. It'll also give me sample questions if I want to take a look at that. And then also, if I come down to the very bottom, I can decide how much to assign to them. Now, I can have the option of doing a mini ticket, which is going to be 3 questions, an exit ticket, which is 5, or regular practice, which is going to be 10. And then also I have the option here to show assignment preview, and that's going to give me some examples of the kind of questions that they're going to get. And so if you want to make sure that you're really targeting what you're trying to target, go ahead and click on that and take a look at some of the sample questions. Then what you can do is you can either choose to assign immediately, or you can choose to assign for the future. And so you can make assignments for things for your students to do today or things for your students to do next week, all based on these class groupings. And so it ends up being a really, really helpful tool for teachers, especially when they want to teach the students where they're at. Now, one last thing I do want to show you, I'm just going to come back here to the math and into the reports section. If I come down here, when we look at student goal setting, students that are in grades K to 2 don't set goals. This would be for students in grades 3 and up. If we click on this, what it's going to do is when you do have a student set a goal, it'll tell you what the goal is, and then it will also tell you if they met that goal. This can be a really easy place to just get a snapshot as to whether or not your students are doing the work that you've assigned, as well as meeting the goals. And remember that both math and language arts can count toward their goal progress. And something else that's really important to do is not only is it how many questions students do, but it's how accurate they are. Sometimes I think students get into a habit where, oh, well, I just want to make sure I do a bunch of problems. But really, you want to stress to your students, it's like, no, I'm going to do these problems and I'm going to do them correctly, or I'm going to learn how to do them correctly. So hopefully this helps a little bit with grouping and looking at some of the reports and data that are available in Freckle. Hope this helps out, and we'll talk to you soon.